Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the Senior Minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, and we are a historically humanist congregation. This is Coffee and Wisdom, when we look at some of the political and philosophical and social and religious aspects of American life to think about where we may be going in terms of a religious or philosophical direction. This week, I've been asking the question, congregational humanism, what is it good for? And my answer has been community. When we look at the way, I talked a little bit yesterday about the way social cohesion has happened traditionally, from the tribal days to small villages to entire nations, we often see religion as something in there, whether that be actual religion or civil religion, that's another question, but some kind of religious glue. And we've also been looking at the fact that about 30% of Americans at this point are totally unaffiliated with any sort of religious community. So that's where we're at, kind of. This is a little slide from the Cigna group, of course, in a health insurance company that wants to think about how to keep people healthy and so they don't pay premiums, right? So there are 330 million Americans, says Cigna, yet we're lonely and getting lonelier. 61% of those surveyed are lonely. So loneliness in Americans is up 7% percentage points from 54% in 18 to 61% in 19. The question is why? And I would mention quickly that this is all pre-pandemic. So we're not talking about the increased pressure that's going on just now. This is a national trend that's been tracing for some time. Second, not enough social support. Third, too few meaningful social interactions, poor physical and mental health, and not enough balance in our lives. And then it talks a little bit about the connection with work. Of course, one way not to feel lonely is to work too much, right? Which then does get life out of balance, etc. So that's what Cigna is saying about American loneliness. Not enough social support, too few meaningful social interactions, poor mental and physical health, and not enough balance in our lives. Now, this trend was first named, or in a popular way anyway, by Robert Putnam back in the year 2000 with his book, Bowling Alone. It really said, wait a minute, something serious has happened in American culture here, and he's addressing exactly the kind of things that Cigna Group is still putting their finger on. All right. Now, the subtitle of this book is The Collapse and Revival of American Community. This is a famous book. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it at this point. And of course, Putnam is talking about this third where people can have community and reverse these things that the Cigna Group are talking about. This is from Bowling Alone, again published in 2000. Joining and participating in one group cuts in half your odds of dying next year. Okay, so loneliness is quite literally more dangerous than smoking 15 cigarettes per day. That's one of those newer stats that has come out. Every 10 minutes of commuting reduces all forms of social capital by 10%. Again, this is well before the pandemic. What's this new orientation going to be doing to that number in terms of creative capital, etc., social capital? Watching commercial entertainment TV is the only leisure activity where doing more of it is associated with lower social capital. All right. Declining social capital trends over the last 25 years. We know that attending clubs and meetings is way, way off. Kiwanis, Rotary Club, these are in pretty desperate trouble at this point. The Masons, how do they even go into the next generation? And it's not looking good for them. Family dinners, however, dropped off by 43% over the 25-year from 1975 to 2000. And having friends over, 35% drop. So we see more and more people are self-isolating, right? There's self-isolating and then discovering that that leads to loneliness. So what is the value of community? Putnam talks about this, and I summed it up very quickly. One is support and encouragement. Another is perspective. Another is resilience and gratitude. The idea of gratitude saying, yes, I'm really glad, I pay homage to those who came before, basically. And then also to challenge us to say, wait a minute, I'm not sure that your thinking is 100% there. So what's the value of some kind of community? Support and encouragement, perspective, resilience, gratitude, and challenge. For example, with the perspective, I often say this of First Unitarian Society people, you know, when you get that scary medical diagnosis, who do you reach out to? And when you have a congregation the size of First Unitarian Society, guess what? Other people have also been through that and can talk to you and what's known as normalizing it within the psychological world. So these are the things that work. What specifically about a religious community, however? And this is the question, of course, for the secularizing humanist people is what would we do with and we will put it in quotes there, religious community? Well, number one is purpose, the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. Meaning and purpose. As a matter of fact, a study by Mayo Clinic concluded, quote, most studies have shown that religious involvement and spirituality are associated with better health outcomes, including greater longevity, coping skills, and health-related quality of life, even during terminal illness, and less anxiety, depression, and suicide. Several studies have shown that addressing the spiritual needs of the patient may enhance recovery from illness, end quote. And this is quoted in Forbes magazine. Science says religion is good for your health. One of the things that all of these studies ignore is the fact that it isn't actually religion that's doing this. It is the kind of community that is talking about meaning and purpose. So humanist communities meet this as well and kind of get lost in the stats, but it's something very important for those of us of a more secular and humanist perspective to keep in mind that it's not really having a particular creed and dogma associated with your life, but it is about going somewhere and being in some kind of community that does, and then talking about these ideas of meaning and purpose. So there you have it. That's good for you. And I believe, and I'll be talking about this more tomorrow, I do believe that that is the future for community within a humanist and liberal religious Unitarian Universalist perspective. Well, tonight, join us for Bibles and Beer, a humanist Bible study at 7 p.m. this evening. Tonight, Pentecost and Azusa Street, where we'll be talking about the book of Acts. I forgot to put an S on that. Second chapter, verses 1 through 9. Azusa Street was also a moment of Pentecostalism and the interesting social implications, because Pentecostalism since 1906 and the Azusa Street Revival has been exploding across the planet. So interesting phenomenon originally talked about in the book of Acts way long time ago in early Christianity. Thanks a lot for joining us today. You can find us on YouTube. We have an assembly sort of YouTube channel so that you can see what we do on Sundays, but also we have Den of Conversation, a wider humanist discussion where things like this program are posted. You can see the kind of long archive that we have at this point. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you can help us out on PayPal or by going to firstunitarian.org/donate. Yes, join us tonight. Look for firstunitarian.org/Bibles, and I'll see you tonight or tomorrow. Thank you.